This is the foundation for all the other yoga courses to follow. It shows some of the important features of the software. Yoga involves understanding, channeling, and mastering the traumatic energy patterns within the mind and transforming them into a meaningful and compassionate reality. The process by which yoga practice unfolds is known as Svadhyaya. Svadhyaya is study of the self by the self. The peak experience culminates in the union of the individual soul with the universal spirit. It is crucial we know what thought patterns, emotions, and intentions are the cause of suffering, and how it's preventing us from experiencing and sharing joy and compassion. In order to accomplish this, we need to record and monitor the workings of our mind and get the reports that gives us an intimate knowledge of our thought patterns. As source of stress and suffering are identified, we need to introduce strategies for change, witness the transformation, and manage the process as it happens. The tools in this software will empower you to engage in this process and participate in its development and refinement for use of future generations. The analysis of the data you enter will provide you with knowledge on how elemental changes in your mind are impacting the level of creativity, joy, and compassion you experience personally and influence globally. So let us lay the foundation for Svadhyaya, study of self by the self towards ultimate creativity. Unfortunately, we humans spend all our time engaged in thoughts associated with attachment, rag, and aversion, dvesha, which is part of the sympathetic nervous system. As a result, our creative faculties are usually busy manifesting stress and suffering, mostly without our even knowing it. The sympathetic nervous system is made up of our fight-or-flight reactions and the drive for survival and affiliation, and you will be hearing a lot about these two over the next few courses. The other part of the human autonomic nervous system is the parasympathetic nervous system. The dominance of this leads to compassion and contentment, and this is what we are trying to cultivate. Beauty, creativity, and compassion are attributes of the parasympathetic and is activated through love, kindness, and selfless service. The art of yoga will require consistent and deliberate effort on your part to move from the painful sympathetic mindset to the life-giving parasympathetic state of virtue, nonviolence, kindness, and compassion. The goal is to keep the sympathetic nervous system turned off as much as possible by choosing to spend as much time in the parasympathetic zone where joy and tranquility reign supreme. A person averages 60,000 thoughts a day. Amazingly, 95% of those are the same thoughts repeated every day, and 80% of those thoughts are negative. So naturally, we will start our demo with recording thoughts and intentions associated with suffering. It is crucial to remember that the painful and the peaceful systems work in opposition to each other. Either one or the other is activated all of the time. Unfortunately, the mind associated with the one that creates suffering for ourselves and others, however, always takes precedence because it is concerned with base-level egotistical demands and desires. So here we are recording a negative thought pattern associated with the sympathetic nervous system. Click on Lab, Thought and Emotion Tracker. If not registered, you will be prompted here to do so. I am, so I'll log in. Here are three options, and I can click on the information icon to understand the options better. Self to self, self to others, and others to self. I read through that, and I'll close it. I will select the source of the disturbance and click Next. Here we have emotions, feelings, and intentions that the trigger elicited. The trigger is not the fight or flight reactions, it's the drive and affiliation, but we'll get to that later. There's research at your fingertips. Here's research on fight or flight, or tamas as known in Sanskrit. Everything is cited. Emotions associated with fight or flight also have research information and how it relates to yoga and science. Here we are looking at research on shame, lengthy research to empower you. Feelings associated to emotions can be seen by clicking on meaning. We are looking at chagrin right now. Feeling embarrassed, distressed as a result of failure is chagrin. What I'm going to do, I'll select the thoughts and feelings that I want to record. and then I will click next to go to drive for survival and affiliation, known as Rajas in Sanskrit. I'm looking at the meaning for worry just to make sure I'm selecting the right one. Here I'm selecting what led to my fight or flight experience earlier on, and this is where I know what the trigger is. Looking at areas of life, friends, very important to categorize information, and all our thoughts and intentions and emotions are in relation to areas, for example, health, family, friends, finances, etc. We can manage both the areas and people from the back end. I will select an area here, dreams, because this record is in relation to a dream I had. Next, I'll select the people. Cleverly done through associating pride in achievement of types. We have managed to spawn insecurity and maliciousness between people, communities, and countries, and only people can do that. And we can manage people from the back end also. We'll see that later. Next is date and time, and we can backdate our record. Sometimes we don't have our phone with me. I don't have my phone with me, so I can't make a record right when I'm going through an experience or experiencing an emotion. Very important, tag and details, and you can modify the details later on. So it really, if you're busy, just make a quick entry and run. Here you have the details to the entry, and through the management tool we can add, update, delete, and we'll look at that later. You're probably thinking, this is great, but do I have to go through all those steps each time? No, you don't. Thanks to 95% of our thoughts being repetitive, you can duplicate a record by a couple of clicks, and I will show you that feature next. Then we will see a demo on how to move towards love and compassion and view reports. New tutorials will be added every 2 weeks on yoga and relation to modern science, and all this is not just as an intellectual exercise, but as an actual experience that can be assimilated in your daily life. Approximately 95% of our thoughts are repeated daily. To save you the effort of recording repeating thoughts, we will see how to duplicate it in seconds. So we'll do that now. I go to lab, thought and emotion tracker. Once again, thought tracker. I pick by area. There's 3 options. You can pick records by transaction, by area, by importance. I like the area one, so I always use that. I will select the parameters for the search. So right now what I'm doing is selecting the date. I can select from 1 day to 100 days. And now the area, remember I was emphasizing the importance of area. I'm selecting meditation in this case because I'm just showing you a duplicate. And in this case, whether good records I want or the bad records, I selected the good ones. And not that I don't want to show you my bad ones. I will talk about myself and you will know that I'm not all that good. Now what we're going to do over here, we will look at the options and then confirm the quick pick. Once we confirm the quick pick, we have duplicated the record, and then we can go to the management tool and then make the changes. So we have duplicated the record. And now I will manage this particular transaction because it was just a duplication. So this is the management screen. Many times thoughts and emotions overlap, good, bad, bad, good. And that is what happened to me at 2 a.m. So I'm just using that as an example. I'm going to drive an affiliation. I got a text in the middle of my meditation, and that I was $30 over my bandwidth. Drive for survival kicked in, and I was in stress. I was in the middle of my meditation and I was experiencing stress. So I picked up my phone and started making mindful entry. And right now I'm adding details to what happened. And after I make an entry, I can add notes to each entry. You see, this is so important. And what had happened, I had left my phone on roaming, and that's how I didn't realize, and the bill got to $30 and I got a text. My practice raised my awareness that the ego is trying to exert its authority. I knew that, I was aware of it. So I made a mindfulness interruption by making a stress and awareness entry, and this short-circuited the ego. So I wasn't feeling that pain anymore. A year ago, raising awareness automatically for me was extremely difficult. I was sleeping on the streets, hurting, but busy developing this software to bring my pain and anguish under control and help others who are suffering. It took me 9 years of research and development. So now here I am adding the note to the mindfulness entry, the good one that I made. So courses to follow will go into details on how the brain changes when you use this software to form new associations in the mind and change the neurotransmitter wiring. Next, I will do a quick demo on recording parasympathetic inclinations for love, kindness, and compassion, and then show you guys a few awesome reports. So, wow, that was heavy, fast. Okay, so once again, I clicked the option to move away from suffering. Our brain needs to feel kindness and compassion. There is no other way. So we are gonna make a compassion oriented entry. So I am basically making my selections right now. Compassion, like physical and academic skills, appears to be something that is not fixed, but rather can be enhanced with training and practice. So I'm making my selections. I click next. Once again, I come to areas. Compassion is an aspiration that involves being sensitive to the suffering in ourselves and others with a deep motivation to alleviate and the commitment to help other people. I think I read that wrong, but that's okay. So the cardiovascular system and the brain influence each other during the processing of information. The mere act of paying attention to one's compassionate behavior when interacting with others enhances the integrated neurons in the brain. When this is done over a period of time, it creates a compassionate state. States become trait, and a compassionate trait determines one's behavior. That was fast. Okay, I finished making the entry. Now I'm looking at the details. Next, reports. So now we are looking at reports. Science without spirituality is lame, said Einstein. Friends, going to lab, thoughts and emotion track. Our goal is to keep the fight or flight reactions and the negative drive for affiliation in intentions turned off as much as possible by choosing to spend as much time in the spiritual inclination zone. Let's see if that is true in my case. Over the past day, my positive mind has had a 300% advantage over my negative reactions and intentions. This wasn't always the case. Used to be reversed. The effects show up in our creative potential to positively influence the law of attraction, degree of contentment, and beauty of heart, mind, body, and soul. Let's see now what the triggers were like. This gives me a quick view on the source of the triggers that elicited the reaction. Self to self, 7, others to self 2, and 9, self to others. We will go to emotion drill down now. This is an intimate look at how much time was spent nurturing the soul and how much time degrading it. Fight or flight reactions, shame 3, anxiety 1. And we'll go down and look at quickly drive and affiliation intentions, and then the spiritual inclinations. We're going to go back up and do a drill down into my head now. This knowledge is true power, friends. How many of us actually get to have this invaluable experience on a daily basis? This is true empowerment. One more quick report to look at individual record details. Your feedbacks are what helps me create these reports, so please keep them coming. Selecting the dates according to research and my personal experience. The more you record the process of the psyche, the more the mind slows down. The awareness rises to incredible heights, and as the mind slows down, the negative influences in life starts receding. Patience is important because it's a slow process. Extremely helpful is the insight into the resistance to our changes, to the change, and attitudinal shifts which sidetrack us from creating a meaningful and a happy life. The reenacting of traumas is over because the roots of the suffering is discovered, friends. But yoga is a lifelong practice, and there is always more work to do. I personally can't wait daily to engage in this powerful journey of miracles through analytical exploration using this software. I hope you will experience the same joy and enthusiasm for life through this journey of self-actualization that I do. And stay happy until the next tutorial. I will talk to you very soon.